Let's talk about Greek mythology. Usually, it's just Zeus turning into a farm animal and ruining some poor mortal's life for absolutely no reason. But today, we are looking at the greatest PR disaster in ancient history, the legendary tale of Hades and Persephone. Now, if you've heard the standard textbook myth, it usually goes exactly like this. Big bad death god steals the innocent flower girl, her mom gets super sad, and then winter happens. Classic tragedy, right? But let's look at the actual facts of the case. Demeter wasn't just a mildly protective mom. She was the ultimate boss-level helicopter parent of the ancient world. We're talking Life 360 app tracking on Persephone sandals, strict curfews of 4 p.m., and constant, agonizing lectures about hanging out with the wrong crowd, which to Demeter was literally anyone who wasn't a potted plant. Persephone was the goddess of spring, but on the inside, she was a deeply frustrated teen who was absolutely desperate to escape her mom's suffocating greenhouse. Hades gets a horribly bad rap in pop culture. He's the god of the underworld, sure, but he's actually the only god on the roster who legitimately does his job. While Zeus and Poseidon are up on Mount Olympus, running a deeply dysfunctional reality TV show and aggressively dodging cosmic child support, Hades is down below, doing endless paperwork, balancing the mortality budget, and petting his three-headed rescue dog, Cerberus. He's not a villain. He's just a massive introvert who lives in a dark basement and hates loud noises. But even introverts get lonely. So, one day, Hades decides to poke his head above ground to get some fresh air. Maybe he just wanted to touch some grass for once in his immortal life. He spots Persephone picking flowers in a meadow and immediately thinks she's cute. But here is the problem. Hades has absolutely zero riz. The man hasn't spoken to a living, breathing woman in roughly 3 millennia. So, instead of walking up, introducing himself, or maybe buying her a cold brew, he decides to dramatically roll up in a pitch-black, spooky horse-drawn chariot. Frankly, it was just terrible optics. He bursts out of the earth in his gothic doom mobile. In the classic telling of the story, he snatches Persephone while she is screaming and crying for help. But let's read the room for a second. Persephone sees this pale, quiet emo guy offering her a free, one-way ticket completely out of Demeter's jurisdiction, and she is all in. She probably threw her flower basket in the air, yelled, "Deuces, Mom," and swan dived right into the Underworld chariot. Finally, no more lectures about the miracle of photosynthesis. She gets down there and realizes the Underworld isn't some fiery torture chamber at all. It is basically a giant, quiet library where absolutely nobody bothers her. She loves it. She immediately starts redecorating the palace, moving gloomy furniture around, and bossing local demons into doing her bidding. For the first time ever, she's actually living her best life away from her mother's watchful eye. She finds out that ruling the dead is way more fun than planting daisies, and she quickly claims her throne. Meanwhile, up on the sunny surface, Demeter realizes Persephone missed her 4:15 p.m. check-in text. She completely loses her mind. She goes full, unadulterated Karen on the entire planet Earth. She starts aggressively interrogating local nymphs, demanding to speak to the cosmic manager of the universe. When she finally finds out that Hades took her daughter down below, she doesn't just get a little bit sad. She gets incredibly, violently petty. Since Demeter is the literal goddess of agriculture, she decides the most logical response is to go on a planet-wide labor strike. She looks at humanity and is basically like, "Oh, you guys like eating? You really enjoy your whole wheat bread and fresh veggies? Too bad. Welcome to the Ice Age, nerds." She literally freezes the entire Earth out of sheer, unbridled spite. Crops instantly die. Heavy snow falls everywhere. People are actively starving in the streets. The humans are looking up at Mount Olympus in total despair like, "Hey, a little help here? We're literally dying of frostbite because your sister desperately needs to see a family therapist." Mount Olympus immediately goes into full panic mode. Why? Because if the humans die off, absolutely nobody is left to burn fancy sacrifices, which means the gods don't get their free weekend barbecue. The whole celestial economy is crashing. So Demeter looks at Zeus, crosses her arms, and is basically like, "Bro, fix this immediately, or the humans go completely extinct." Zeus realizes he actually has to do his job for once. Zeus, who usually pretends he's getting an important phone call whenever there is family drama, sighs heavily and sends Hermes down to the underworld to fetch Persephone. Hermes shows up in Hades' living room and says, "Hey man, your mother-in-law is literally destroying the entire biosphere up there. You gotta give the girl back." Now, Persephone hears this and instantly panics. Go back to living with the ultimate helicopter mom? Absolutely not. She desperately needs a cosmic loophole, and she needs it right now. Enter the famous pomegranate. The ancient, unbreakable rule of the underworld is that if you eat the food of the dead, you can never fully leave. The old myth says Hades cleverly tricked her into eating the pomegranate seeds. But let's be real for a second. Persephone saw those seeds, realized they were her golden ticket to avoiding her mom's curfew forever, and practically inhaled them. She probably looked Hermes dead in the eye while chewing loudly and said, "Oh no, what a terrible tragedy. Guess I'm legally bound to the emo king now." Zeus, desperate to stop Demeter's Ice Age tantrum, but legally bound by underworld law, comes up with a classic bureaucratic compromise. They split custody. Persephone spends 6 months of the year on the surface. Demeter is happy, and crops grow, boom, spring and summer. But for the other 6 months, Persephone gets to go back down to her introvert husband. Demeter throws a fit and freezes everything again, boom, fall and winter. So the next time you're scraping ice off your windshield in January, just remember, it's not science. It's just a Greek helicopter mom being incredibly petty because her daughter finally moved out.